All right, buckle up, everyone, because this week on the Just Nuke It podcast, we're diving headfirst into not one, but two absolutely chilling flash fiction stories.
Oh yeah, get ready for a double dose of apocalyptic thrills.
That's right. We're talking about wild tales, the kind that explore what happens when humanity stares down the barrel of a global disaster, those end-of-the-world scenarios that make you think, what would I do? And trust me, the solutions these stories cook up, let's just say they're dot creative. If you love those blockbuster action films with edge-of-your-seat tension and just a sprinkle of, how do they even think of that, then you're in for a treat.
We're going to take you on a journey through these stories, exploring how they imagine humanity adapting, surviving, and maybe even thriving when the world as we know it crumbles around us.
And if that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure you rate and follow the Just Nuke It podcast for more captivating stories that'll leave you wanting more.
We've got some truly mind-bending narratives lined up, so buckle up and get ready for the ride.
Okay, so first up, we're plunging into a world consumed by a volcanic winter.
Oh wow, now that's a scenario I haven't considered before.
Yeah, picture this. The planet's choking under a blanket of ash so thick that sunlight's just a distant memory. Crops are failing, wars are erupting, and to top it all off, the scientists are freaking out because it looks like we're on the verge of a chain reaction of volcanic eruption.
A chain reaction. So it's not just one volcano blowing its top.
Nope, it's like the entire planet's decided to have a meltdown at the same time. Talk about a bad day, right?
That's putting it mildly.
And our first story, Echoes of Vesuvius, throws us right into this fiery mess. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So there are these archaeologists, right? They're digging around in the ruins of Pompeii.
Yeah.
You know, the city that got famously buried by Vesuvius way back when.
Right, one of history's most dramatic volcanic events.
Exactly. And they stumble across something incredible. Now, you might think they found some lost treasure, you know, gold, jewels, the usual stuff.
Well, that's usually what archaeologists get excited about, right?
Yeah. Sure, but this is way more important than a pile of ancient bling. What they found suggests that the Pompeians weren't just victims of the volcano, they were studying it. And get this, they were trying to control it.
Hold on. They were trying to control a volcano.
Yeah, you heard that right.
Yeah.
They found frescoes, but not the kind you'd expect. These ones depicted seismic shifts, like they were mapping out the Earth's movements. And then there were these crude instruments designed to monitor the Earth's pulse, like they were trying to understand its heartbeat. It's like they weren't just passively waiting for the next eruption. They were actively trying to figure out how to manage these incredible forces of nature. And then they found these frantic scrawls, like half-finished equations, almost as if they were on the brink of some incredible discovery when Vesuvius, well, you know.
It's like they were racing against time to unravel a mystery that could have held the key to their survival. And then, disaster struck.
Yeah, it's a pretty chilling thought, right? That maybe, just maybe, they were onto something that could have saved them, and it's buried right there under centuries of ash and rock.
And now, here we are, centuries later, facing a similar global threat.
Talk about a case of history repeating itself.
So what happens next? Do these archaeologists, armed with the Pompeians' knowledge, try to, pull off the same feat?
That's exactly where the story takes us. These researchers, with their newfound knowledge and a whole lot of nervous energy, find themselves suddenly thrust onto the global stage.
Yeah, I bet the scientific community went nuts.
Oh, absolutely. At first, it was all curiosity and skepticism, miracle or madness. But then the whispers start turning into shouts as governments and militaries get involved.
Oh, sounds like things are about to get complicated.
You can say that again. Suddenly, it's not just about understanding a volcano, it's about weaponizing that knowledge. Imagine being able to control eruptions, not to prevent disaster, but to cause it. Talk about a terrifying possibility.
Yeah, the story's really tapping into those classic anxieties about scientific progress and the potential for misuse, right?
Exactly. It's that constant tension between knowledge as a tool for good or evil, and it's playing out on a global scale.
Okay, so they've got this ancient knowledge, the world's on the brink of a volcanic apocalypse, and now they've got the attention of some pretty powerful and potentially dangerous players. What happens next? Do they manage to pull it off?
Well, the story takes us on this whirlwind tour of volcanic hotspots around the globe. Think Iceland, Hawaii, even the Yellowstone caldera. They're essentially using these locations as giant laboratories, trying to decipher the Pompeians' cryptic notes and test their theories in real time. And with each successful intervention, the stakes just keep getting higher. They're literally playing a high-stakes game with the planet's fate, and the pressure is immense.
I bet. It's like they're walking a tightrope between saving humanity and triggering an even bigger disaster.
Exactly. And with every eruption they manage to control, their fame grows, but so does the weight of responsibility. They've literally got the fate of the world on their shoulders.
And knowing human nature, I bet there are some who want to exploit that power for their own gain.
Oh, absolutely. The story doesn't shy away from the political machinations and the moral dilemmas that come with having this kind of power. It's a constant struggle to stay one step ahead of those who see their discovery as a weapon, not a solution. But here's the thing. They're not always successful. Despite their best efforts, some eruptions slip through their grasp and entire cities are lost. And that weighs heavily on them, especially Anya, the lead researcher. She carries the burden of those losses, knowing that even with their knowledge, they can't save everyone.
It's a powerful reminder that even with the best intentions, there are always limits to what we can control, especially when it comes to nature's fury.
For sure. But eventually the tremors subside. The chain reaction of eruptions they've been fearing is broken, and the planet enters this uneasy period of quiet. It's a victory, but it's a bittersweet one. Cities are lost, lives are shattered, and the world is forever changed. Anya, standing on the edge of the Santorini caldera, reflects on what they've achieved and the price they've paid. She realizes that Pompeii isn't just a relic of the past. It's a chilling reminder of the future they've narrowly averted, and a testament to the power and the peril of the knowledge they now possess.
Wow, so they managed to avert a global catastrophe, but the cost was immense.
That's the haunting reality of it all. They saved humanity, but the world will never be the same, and now they have to figure out how to live with that, knowing that the power they wield could just as easily destroy as it could save.
Definitely makes you think, right?
Absolutely. It's a stark reminder that even when we think we have control, nature always has the last word.
Okay, ready for a complete shift in scenery.
Hit me with it.
Let's trade those fiery volcanic landscapes for the storm-ravaged temples of Angkor in Cambodia. Our second story, Shadow of the Naga, takes us deep into a world where climate change has unleashed something ancient and, well, let's just say a little supernatural.
That's right. Forget molten lava and ash clouds. This time, we're facing raging floods and a mythical serpent spirit who's none too happy about the state of the planet.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So picture Angkor, right? Usually it's teeming with tourists, all snapping pictures of those magnificent temples. But in this story, the Mekong River has flooded like never before thanks to these relentless storms. The temples are no longer tourist attractions, they're shelters for displaced villagers, a stark reminder of how climate change is reshaping our world.
Wow, so it's a very different kind of apocalypse, but still rooted in very real environmental concerns.
Absolutely. And at the heart of it all is Mei Lin, a young archaeologist who, under normal circumstances, kind of hates tourists.
Haha, well, I can relate to that.
But in this crisis, her knowledge of the past becomes more important than ever. And then she makes a discovery, a carving of a Naga, a powerful serpent spirit from local legends, intertwined with the iconography of Angkor. Now, at first, she dismisses it as just a myth, a story. But as the storms rage on and the villagers start whispering about the Naga's anger, she begins to wonder if there's more to these ancient beliefs than she initially thought.
So the story is setting up this clash between the rational scientific world and the realm of myth and legend.
Exactly. It's that classic struggle between what we can explain and what we can't. And as the crisis deepens, that line starts to blur.
I can see how that would be a pretty unsettling experience.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for someone like Mei Lin, who's dedicated her life to studying the past in a very factual, scientific way. But the thing is, the storms are relentless and the villagers are terrified. They start turning to Mei Lin, pleading with her to appease the Naga. They're desperate for something, anything, to offer them hope. And she, despite her skepticism, finds herself drawn into this role of a reluctant priestess.
So she's caught between her scientific training and the very real fears and beliefs of the people around her.
Exactly. It's a tough position to be in, trying to balance skepticism with the very real need for hope in a desperate situation.
So what does she do? Does she try to appease this Naga spirit?
That's where things get really interesting. She remembers these fragmented stories from her childhood, tales her grandmother used to tell her about appeasing the Naga. There were ancient rituals, offerings, even a sacred dance.
A dance. to calm a storm.
Yep, you heard that right. And with the villagers looking to her for guidance, she decides to take a leap of faith, even though a part of her still screams that it's all nonsense. They gather what they can, substituting dye for the traditional blood sacrifices, and Mei Lin, relying on her grandmother's stories and a whole lot of gut instinct, begins to dance.
Oh, wow, talk about a high-pressure performance.
No kidding. And here's where things take a turn for the truly eerie. As she dances, she feels the temple stones beneath her feet thrumming, vibrating with an energy that seems to connect her to something ancient and powerful. And then through the raging storm, she sees them. Colossal reptilian eyes staring down at her from the heart of the tempest. The Naga is real.
Oh, wow. So the myth becomes reality.
And it's terrifying. This isn't some gentle, benevolent spirit. This is raw, untamed power, the embodiment of nature's fury unleashed. But Mei Lin doesn't back down. She keeps dancing, her movements becoming a defiant act of resistance against the storm and the fear that threatens to consume them all. And then, inspired by her courage, the villagers join in, singing an ancient song, their voices weaving together into a desperate plea for mercy. It's a moment of incredible power and unity in the face of overwhelming odds.
It's almost like they're tapping into a collective memory, a connection to their ancestors who faced similar challenges.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes, in the face of disaster, our traditions and beliefs can offer strength and resilience.
So, does it work? Does the Naga respond to their plea?
The story describes a palpable shift. The temple floor pulses with energy, Mei Lin becomes a conduit for their collective will, and the storm, while not completely ceasing, begins to subside. It's a moment of relief, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. But the question remains, was it a true miracle, a divine intervention? Or was it something else entirely?
I was just about to ask that. It sounds like there's more to the story than just a simple happy ending.
You're right. The Naga's retreat doesn't feel permanent, more like a pause, a moment of observation. And Mei Lin, ever the pragmatist, knows that the underlying issues, the climate change that fueled the storms in the first place, haven't gone away. It's a fragile victory, bought with a dance and a song, and it leaves her with a chilling certainty that the fight for survival is far from over.
So it's a victory, but a very uncertain one.
Right. The ending leaves you with a sense of unease, a knowledge that the forces they've encountered are far from tamed. But it also suggests that ancient knowledge, traditions, even myths might hold valuable insights into how to navigate a future where the line between the natural and the supernatural is increasingly blurred.
Fascinating. Two very different stories, but both exploring the limits of our understanding and the lengths we'll go to when faced with the unthinkable.
Exactly. In Echoes of Vesuvius, we saw humanity grappling with the scientific and ethical dilemmas of controlling nature's power, while Shadow of the Naga delved into the potential of ancient beliefs and rituals to offer hope and resilience in a world transformed by climate change.
And both stories remind us that even in the face of a global crisis, the human spirit, in all its complexity and contradiction, endures.
Absolutely. We're capable of incredible ingenuity, desperate measures, and sometimes even blind faith when pushed to the brink. And that's what makes these stories so compelling. They force us to confront our own beliefs and ask ourselves, what would we do when the world as we know it falls apart?
Yeah, they definitely give you something to chew on, don't they?
They really do. And that's what we're all about here on the Just Nuke It podcast. We love exploring those wild, end-of-the-world scenarios, those stories that make you think, feel, and maybe even question everything you thought you knew about humanity and our place in the universe.
We try to keep things entertaining, sure, but also thought-provoking. We want our listeners to walk away with more questions than answers, to keep those mental gears turning long after the episode is over.
That's right. We're not here to preach or lecture. We're here to explore, to spark conversations, and to hopefully leave you with a few aha moments along the way.
And maybe a few nightmares, too.
Aha. Yeah, probably a few of those as well. So if you're into these kinds of stories, the kind that make you question everything and leave you wanting more, make sure you rate and follow the Just Nuke It podcast. We've got a whole queue of apocalyptic probes waiting to be explored.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive. Apocalyptic probe into the wild world of end-of-the-world fiction.
See you then.